What's up again, everyone? It's Carpo here. Whenever I have a bunch of thoughts, I'll put them together in a series of videos, which is why often I won't make a video for a few days and then I'll make like 5 in one day. I used to tie them all together in like a half an hour long video, and I figured this was more important, but I should say more, I guess it makes more of an impact if I can put them into segments which deal with a particular topic, because all of us are very short attention span these days, myself included. It kind of sucks. We're living in weird times. Can't even talk about certain topics. Yeah, it's hard to even know what's important anymore. You know, when I started my channel, it was actually, way back then, it was about prepping. I did some videos on preparing for your family, making sure you have emergency food supplies for a particular event, whatever it might be, solar flare, or even an earthquake. Anything could happen at any time. And gradually I kind of got bored with all that. Went through kind of my conspiracy phase before I got on YouTube, so I got that out of my system. Definitely still believe a majority of it's true. It's just kind of when you get to a point, nothing's shocking anymore. And with what's going on in the world these days, I feel like I'm just not surprised by anything that's happening at all. I don't even want to bring up anything that's happening right now in the news because it will date this video, but let's just say that everybody's a freaking hypocrite out there. And you can't even bring up a topic without somebody, you know, accusing somebody on a different side of doing the same thing they did. Anyhow, it makes it really tricky to even know what to talk about. But there are certain topics that I think are extremely important, and one of them is using passivity as a crutch. And it's something I understand because I wouldn't say I've done it, but rather I've seen it, because I've for a while kind of got into this mindset of this love and light shit, right? Now I still believe in the basic principles. Sure, we're all made of light. Sure, we're all from the same source. And sure, love is, you know, the root of much of our happiness. But life is not that simple. And I was doing a disservice. It was more like I was trying it out. It's kind of like the positive thinking. There was a time when I would drive in my car and I would try to put out literal positive vibes to the world. And yes, they do come back. But it's draining when you're constantly trying to think positive when something happens that pisses you off. For example, the guy that's peeling out in the background, whether you can hear that or not. There's a guy who did that the other day up here on my block, and we have a lot of kids that play out here. And so my thing would be, if I was an extreme pacifist, for my example, would be to go out there, and if I ended up seeing the guy, I'd be like, hey bro, could you please slow down? But I'm not that kind of guy. I'm the guy who goes out there, sticks my finger up and says, fuck off my block. That's just who I am, because I'm very outspoken, and I express how I feel. I don't hold back. So because of this, people might be surprised sometimes at my reaction as a guy, you know, in a tie-dye screaming, fuck yeah. But I don't do it with anger. I don't hold resentment or build at the world. It's not something I do. The reason I don't build resentment, the reason I don't hold any anger about the way the world is because of that exact same reason. Because when something happens, I do express myself. I don't pretend to be a pacifist. If I hurt myself, I scream shit. I cuss. I say something that helps relieve pain. And by the way, if you're unaware of this, there's scientific evidence to show that yes, indeed, cussing does help to relieve pain when you get hurt. It's a fact. It releases endorphins into the bloodstream. It doesn't even have to be really a cuss word, but cuss words for some reason help us to, probably because we're pre-programmed that way by our own past experiences. But there's nothing wrong with getting angry for a moment or screaming when you get physically hurt. Nobody's going to fault you for that. But if you get mentally hurt, you're supposed to deal with that differently, right? You're supposed to just be able to process it and move on. No, it's okay to go scream off a fucking cliff, at the world if you feel that way. It's okay. We need to express ourselves however we can. So, being passive is definitely beneficial in certain ways. But like everything, it's a balance. You can't have a completely pacifist attitude in a world that will eat you alive. You might be able to do that as an individual, but if you have kids, I guarantee it will eat your kids alive too. That's a really hard one, and I think a lot of parents understand where I'm coming from when I say you want to raise your kids to be empathetic, caring, kind individuals that give a shit about the people around them. But you also don't want to raise them to be a bunch of freaking weenies that either A, get their butts kicked, or B, turn into bullies and kick somebody else's butt. Most people who become bullies have parents who are bullies, and it's unfortunate that a lot of the reason why people aren't passive is because their parents were aggressive, so they're aggressive. But having pacifist parents doesn't necessarily make pacifist children. There's something within us that's this go get 'em kind of, put all your irons in the fire kind of thing. People want to go out and they want to take risks, they want to take chances, especially young men. And so I would say most young men are not very passive. Maybe that's why there's kind of such a there's so many people are bothered by young men who are extremely passive. For me, I grew up kind of on the cusp as Gen X, where I saw that men were raised to be more sensitive. See, women have always had a sensitive side naturally. Not all women, but within our social structure, men have always had this kind of aggressive attitude. And I watched a lot of passive men growing up who just became basically, wusses to the world around them. Couldn't handle getting dirty, or, had some obsession with either cleanliness or an obsession with other things that just don't correlate to what we used to consider being, quote, a man. And I'm not trying to pull the gender role shit here. We had a long discussion yesterday. My wife and I had a couple friends stay the night. We'd met recently. Sarah and her son, and I think Sarah's like 41 and her son is 15. His name's Quinn, and we had these great conversations, but we got into a long discussion about genders and gender roles and this kind of like obsession society has about it. And it's kind of a fascinating topic because it does correlate to what I'm talking about very well, because women were always historically expected to be passive. And when women become more aggressive about life and they want to take what they want, men freak out. But it's kind of funny, really, because it's not that there's a patriarchal society. It's today men run a lot of the world, but it hasn't always been that way. In some cultures, through the past thousands of years, women have also run the societies. But the thing is, and as we were talking about yesterday, women are really the ones in charge. I said that I've studied primate culture and how different chimpanzees and apes work in groups, and how the men might protect the outside, they might defend from intruders, but really what they're doing is risking their lives to protect everyone else while the women just chill, take care of the kids. But if you get near the kids, those women will rip your head off. They're just as aggressive. The point being that the women have the power in most of these groups. The women decide who they want to mate with. It's not that the men get the choice, or the boy apes. I just find it fascinating. I don't want to compare humans to apes, but it is a great way to see kind of how the matriarchal reign hangs below the scenes, if you will. And my point would be that women aren't all passive. Neither are all men aggressive. We live in a very, not just complicated world as different people, but as individuals, different parts of our lives. There's times when I've been extremely passive and times when I've been extremely aggressive, and I guess I'm kind of generalizing and, demeaning that word by just using it over and over, but hopefully you know where I'm coming from. Being passive can lead to being passive aggressive. This is where we, pretend like we don't care. We're not bothered by this conversation or this, thread online, but, we play this stupid game. I find myself doing it. I think many of us, not all of us, but many of us have done it, especially the cynical and the skeptical people like myself, who find ourselves rolling our eyes at people's stupidity, the dumb things that people focus on and say, and then kind of have to, check myself and be like, don't be arrogant about it. How do you know what you think is important is any more important than, something I saw earlier that someone sent me where it was just your typical right-wing commentator talking shit about something that happened with a left-wing governor that is really irrelevant to the rest of the world. And people only care because others talk about it, but it's a way to take out that aggression, and this is why I think being slightly passive is very useful. But it's not, let me just say to finalize this video, I'm not talking about being passive as not standing up for yourself, and I'm not talking about aggressive as just attacking everyone. I would say that if I were to give you one word that would define where I'm coming from as far as something to gain from this idea, would be Stoicism. Be stoic, remain stoic. It's a wonderful way to think and to be. As a stoic myself, it doesn't mean that I can't have fun or can't question things or laugh at things or even get angry. It's not about being a statue all the time and not being affected by shit. It's just about being yourself, questioning everything, not letting others' opinions of life affect who you are and what you think is true. And that's hard. It is. I'm here putting myself out to all of you. Why do I do this on YouTube? I don't know. There's so many different people out there that I've met and so many different ways of being and mentalities that it's really given me a glimpse into, let me just say my time on YouTube has given me more hope and optimism that most people are patient and have a passive side than it's made me frustrated or angry at society. And I guess that's because of the topics I choose to discuss. They may not be popular, but at least the people that I talk to and the discussions we have are positive ones for the most part. So thanks for listening. I want to let you all know I appreciate you all. Every comment, I read all of them. Even if I don't respond, I read every comment. I want folks to know that I don't just get comments on the videos that I just make, but other ones, older ones, and it's really, I have to limit my time to keeping up. It takes a long time to type every comment out, but I definitely read everything, sometimes a few times, and I love being inspired by other people's thoughts. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on being passive or pacifism. How peaceful should you be about things? It's kind of an illusion that hippies are all just totally chill and pacifists. The fact is, hippies can be some of the most violent people out there. It's interesting what people might not expect. Why is that? It's because people have more than one side, and that side can come out when they feel like someone's being wronged. But in other words, some people will hide their aggression through pretending to be an extreme pacifist like a hippie when they really have anger problems. Some people who are extreme pacifists will also project themselves by pretending that they're some hardcore right-wing commentator that really just hates the world and is angry at all the left, but really it's just insecurity. People are insecure. And I think most people deep down inside would rather be passive. If you had a choice to be passive, and you didn't have to be aggressive towards others, would you take it? And if not, why not? You can still have aggression through sports and competition, but I don't know. Curious to know everyone's thoughts. I'll talk to y'all next time, and take care of each other. Be well. My artichoke flower over there. the last of them. I'm also going to be doing some new benches and stuff for carpentry. I'm making stools and stuff, so I'll share with you all when I'm done. Talk to you next time.